gonna hit record, and then there we go. So welcome, guys. This is number 20. The numbers have been mixed up along the way, but for our sake, let's call this number 20. And we are looking today at crypto mining. Actually, part one. I'd put part 1 of 3, and then I realized that it might be more than that, or it might be less, but we'll see. So it's crypto mining, all you need to know. And then I mean, we are all familiar with this story now. We're familiar of how far we've come, and I think how far we're going. I'm not going to really focus on that, and I'm not even going to focus on this quote necessarily. I think there's nobody I'm seeing who is new. Now, I'm going to look at this one, which I think, but I said this, I don't know whether who I was speaking to, no, just somebody, I don't think they are in the forum yet. And I was just saying about consistency and long-term thinking, is the key to profiting in crypto, just as with traditional instruments. And I think we've done 2 sessions on mindset. Mindset will separate out the winners, no shortcuts. And this statement is true not only in crypto, but in traditional instruments. So there's a certain way that crypto is new, but the concept of it as an asset is not really new. So the principles which have been used actually apply here as rigorously as they should. So I think just, it's important to really just take note of that. Again, I'm not really going to focus on this. This is going to save me some time. We're going to look at, oh God, so I'm using a web version. So this is what's happening, trends and market sentiment. I'm actually going to jump right into this slide here, which is, again, I think I've wanted to create almost a 360 view, almost on a weekly basis for us, from a regulation perspective, from an innovator perspective, from investor perspective, whether those are corporate or individual or retail, as we call it, and as well as influencer, who are the people I think I would recommend you should just check them out, whether on social media, follow them, or read a little bit more about them. So Jack Dorsey, the guy on the left, is the CEO of Square and Twitter, an app that I think most of us are familiar with. And it's interesting because the topic of today, which is mining, I mean, he tweeted on the 17th, I think on the back of what this gentleman called Andrew, who is a Bitcoin enthusiast, talked about, he said, I'm trying mining with Compass Mining. So I think we are in just the perfect setup that other people are thinking of mining. If you look at all these classes we've done before, they have not really focused on mining. They were focused on buying and all those other strategies. We'll recap shortly. So from this big moves lens, the big news, among others, which are not captured here, is Coinbase buying 500 million worth of crypto. And then MicroStrategy buying, I think, borrowing more money to buy more Bitcoin. Their strategy is really more Bitcoin specific. And then Bitcoin hitting 50K. So we're almost like back in summer, if you think of it. And then in Japan, from a regulation perspective, the regulators there are also looking at tightening crypto, regulation. The US has eased off, so which is a good thing. And we are kind of like we're kind of heading to bullish territory. There are those who believe there will still be correction, which is anyway normal in the market. So I think this is really the sentiment. I won't really belabor this. I'll just say, if there's anybody who wants to comment and say something, please feel free to unmute and comment. I won't really pause as such. So you're most welcome to comment if you want to add anything to this. Good. So again, I think the gist, our approach, by the way, I think I validated and looked around, and I realized how we do it seems to be, I like it because it seems to scale. Hopefully that's how you feel. And then again, I think this slide goes without saying. And Bianca, well done today. I see you are really doing a lot of housekeeping. Where are the links? I want to see this, watching all the videos. I'm opening this account, I'm doing the other, And I think we just need that day, right? Where we like spring cleaning and keeping, tabs with what we have learned. Because application really is everything, as it says at the bottom. Now, these are the tools, and then, there's a little bit of a, I think I want to go towards a certain goal approach. So I don't know. I do not know. It will depend on the energy you guys throw back at me. Because I'm thinking today for the first session, I'll just look at mining context and foundations. So we'll go through that within this session. We're going to look at types of crypto mining. We're going to kind of talk through that. And then we're going to look at how to get started, you know, what are the things to look at, and then risks and concerns at the end. And then there's a big question which I'll ask, which I think, depending on what we answer, will determine how we proceed from here. Whether session 2 will happen. You know, I think I can almost guarantee that, because I look at my course design, I have some ideas just scribbled on my notepad. On, you know, actually I have 2 screens. One is you can't see it, but it's there. Which I think we look at the numbers. We like numbers in this forum. We don't just give theory. We like to look at numbers, crunch the numbers. And then the third one, which I'm hoping, I'm saying this by faith, because there's a guy who I know does Ethereum mining. He set it up. He showed me. I didn't really have the energy to do it, but I want to tease him to join us and to actually share. And then the fourth one is actually the culmination. There's one of the guys in our Champions Forum. I won't mention his name for now, who is investing and invested, and quite an advanced user, if I may put it, quite knowledgeable in crypto. He got into this ahead. And there might be an opportunity for us to discuss. In fact, the goal is to get there. I don't want to, I'm using might, instructively here. But the intention is that, you know, at the end of the day, all of this will tie together such that we, not only the knowledge we'll have gained, but we'll actually have opportunity for us to start. Oh, somebody's asking for the link. Oh, Lord Jesus, Lord Jesus. Please allow me. How do I do this? Copy. There we go. Oh Lord, no, this is terrible. This is disaster. Bianca, can you help me to copy the link and paste it there or something? I don't know. Like I'm just giving this person the wrong thing.
I will do that.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah. I pasted some really weird number. So what is the essence of all of this? There's a certain end goal, just like we did in the first batch, which was around strategy. Now we are beyond strategy. I think we've gone beyond strategy because we looked at specific concepts. So we are looking and saying at the end, you know, this will actually allow you to know everything that you need to know as far as crypto mining, but hopefully in a way that is actionable, not just theoretical. That's not really our goal. Now, this slide, you've seen it before. This is our point of departure. This is really the reason why we are here. We have looked at buy extensively. We've looked at P2P. We've looked at, which was, Theo helped us through it. We've looked at, let me just go back here. I hope I'm not letting people in. Okay, cool. I think it's Immaculate, who I needed to let in. Welcome, Immaculate. Now, we've looked at earning. Kevin helped us with staking, which is part of earning. And then I think, you know, there's quite a lot of other things which we have not looked at, giveaways, airdrops, and all of that, which I think maybe along the way we need to just see how do we coordinate so that there's value that is filtered to the community in a way that is not overwhelming. Because I'm really careful. I go to other forums and I see people talking about NFTs, DeFi, and 100 things all happening at the same time. It can really be overwhelming if you're a beginner. Now, today we are going to look, and for the next series, we're going to look at mining. We're going to look at mining 360. As detailed as possible, but also abstracted. I'm not going to really give you definitions. You know, I really don't measure on that. So let's get on. And welcome, Nikki. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. So what is crypto mining? I mean, somebody can unmute at this point and give us the textbook. I don't know, whatever it is that you guys want to define. How you see mining. What is mining from the floor? Tangi?
I've actually no idea what it is, but it seems like it's the search of finding some crypto money, something like that. I'm not sure.
Okay, just say that again. You're actually on track, eh? You're on track.
So I'm guessing, I'm not sure what it is, but I'm guessing it's some kind of search on the internet, because it's everything happens on the internet, and and I have no idea actually. That's all I've got.
Okay, thank you, Tangi. I mean, you get the present for always, you know, making an attempt. Welcome, Mushiri, Nicolette. Welcome.
Thank you.
Great. So I'll just mute us for the sake of convenience. I'm so sorry. Allow me. Just mute everybody. Okay, good. So I'll ask, who else has a definition here? Because again, I don't major on definitions. You guys know that. Tawanda, help us.
Well, I've just Googled.
Thank you.
It says cryptocurrency mining is the process of recording and verifying transactions on a public digital record of transactions known as a blockchain. To do that, miners solve complex mathematical problems. In return, there's a possibility they will be rewarded with cryptocurrency. But in essence, my understanding of I guess it's the way I see it. I'm going to speak from two coins that I'm actually mining, Pi and B.
Yep.
So what the way I see it, I haven't really gone into what Pi is or what they do. But
yeah,
for me, mining is more to do with getting the word out to people that there is this coin or there is this utility that this coin is providing. And the more people know, the more people get involved in it, the better for it. So when it eventually lists on these markets, it then is sellable because there are a number of coins that would have been created already. That's just my take of mining. So we're looking at Tawanda as a white paper or Tawanda as an idea, and then he sells that idea, or I try and explain it to Tim. Tim understands it and thinks it's going to be a good idea. He sells it to P. P sells it to the next person and the next person. So before long, we've got 1 million people that know about this, but in their mining or in their knowledge, we've kept record of who has been with us the whole time. That's my understanding of it. And the longer you've been with us, or the longer you've been with the coin, the more value you've earned, or the more coins of that specific coin you've earned. That's just my take of it.
Thank you, Tawanda. Thank you. So I'll come back to this if you guys will allow me, and welcome to those who've joined us. We have actually quite a full house today. It looks like this is an interesting topic. Now I'm going to do a little bit of a recap, a backstory, once upon a time kind of vibe. So the genesis started with Bitcoin, and that's why blockchain, is talked about, but it's actually in terms of practical use case in cryptocurrency, Bitcoin has to be referenced because it was the first that actually had a practical use of blockchain. Now, and that's what you would call, generation one. And then Bitcoin sits there and all its cousins. I didn't want to clutter this slide by listing the cousins. Cousins are essentially copies of Bitcoin, which is the Bitcoin blockchain. In this case, the likes of Litecoin, the likes of Bitcoin Cash, the likes of whatever, those coins that were there. Even Doge, by the way, is also a fast generation because it's really a copy. They just changed the name, changed a few things, but it's the same rules. It's very basic in nature. It's meant to be a peer-to-peer mechanism, which is movement of value from one person to another without a central intermediary, like the way banks do. Now that's generation one. And then, so I'll talk about, in terms of the rules of how it works, it uses what you call proof of work, which means a network of computers laboring to do three things, basically. One, to release new coins as they solve this mathematical problem. It's actually simply a mathematical problem. But at the end goal is actually saying block A is placed here because of this string that validates, that this is actually something that has happened, and we are witnesses to it. So, there's a certain element of security by virtue of the fact that other peers or other computers are involved. And then secondly, obviously the whole transaction element. So there's an element of, this movement of value from A to B. There's generation, which I may say release of new coins. And then there's reward, which is just more incentives and rewards being given as the transactions happen. And then 2.0 is the likes of Ethereum. I don't know. I mean, Ethereum seems to sit very pretty on that chair. There's a bunch of other blockchains which improved on the idea of Bitcoin and said, look, let's add a little bit of intelligence on top of it, which is what you call smart contracts. For example, you can build rules on top and say, for my Bitcoin to move from my wallet as Tim to Tawanda, there's a certain set of conditions needs to be met. Maybe Tawanda needed to deliver something to me. So now the smart layer comes on top. So just essentially just another layer of rules on top. So that's what 2.0 is. 3.0 is claimed. I don't know. I can't really speak quite. It's a theoretical thing for now. But the likes of Cardano talk about their third generation or fourth generation or whatever it is they want to call themselves, Solana and a bunch of them, which says, no. We actually are solving more problems. All the problems that were there before that these other blockchains couldn't solve. Now, people, I don't want to lose you in this story because I could lose you because it's not really the focus, but I'm just painting a picture to say, number one, blockchain 1.0 used what you call proof of work. 2.0 used proof of work. And then there's some other rules which are, which have been put in place, which I'll discuss in the next set. And then 3.0, they have, probably proof of work and a bunch of other things. So, but I'm just giving this at the high level so that you understand. Let me continue. Now, Kevin did a wonderful job to teach us about proof of work versus proof of stake. I'm gonna refer you to that particular resource for you to look at it for the sake of time and for the sake of clarity. But simply, the big difference is that proof of work is computational intensive. It's computers laboring using a lot of power to solve this mathematical problem, which essentially the end goal is to say, yes, we have agreed, we record it on our ledger, this is valid. That's actually what the end goal is. That's why it's called a blockchain, right? But for stake, it's actually different. It's actually saying, no, how much do you own in the network? It determines, what whether you will get the opportunity to be able to solve the block or place that block in a particular, in the blockchain. And then obviously you get rewarded for it, for that. And what that means is they use the word deterministic, because the more stake you have, which is the more coins or money you have. I think the session that Kevin taught on staking really shows you, the more you have, the more work that you get to use. Now, the big distinction between the two, I mean, the last point around security, it's debatable. If you get people who are pro proof of stake, they'll tell you, yeah, it's more secure. Proof of stake is more secure, but that has not been tested at scale. I mean, Bitcoin is the only one that has been tested for 13 years and it's not been hacked and has not fallen off. So, I can say that practically that proof of work kind of blockchain is more secure. Now, guys, you can ignore all this that I'm saying to you because it's not really super important, but I think for the sake of learning, it's good to just get the concept. Now, why is this important? Because you'll see in the next slide, which I've just really defined very loosely and said, this is not the gospel, fixed, because proof of work means the process of generating new coins or putting new coins in circulation requires this intensive computing, work. Essentially, computers are involved. There's consumption of power. Of course, that's not true for pure proof of stake. It was just more how many coins do you have there. So you don't really have to use electricity as much. And then you'll see at the end, I'll talk about what that really means and where the risks are and the opportunities. And then, as I mentioned, I think transactions, obviously, so in terms of what is paid out to the miner in the mining process, is one, if you're using proof of work, then there's the element of the generation of new coins. And then, of course, there's the element of settlements. And then, as I said, consequentially, there's the element of security because this has to be witnessed by this distributed network of computers. Now, there are other rules which are outside of proof of work. That's why I call it other rules. There are so many of them. Proof of work, distributed proof of work, of stake. Sorry, proof of stake, distributed proof of stake, which is, you see what you see on the left here. Proof of authority, proof of history, there's just a bunch of others. I actually don't care. And for our interest, we don't need to really know all of them. We just need to know where are coins being generated or where is opportunity to really be involved in mining that, fees or settlement fees or rewards are given, which is really of our interest, and how do we get involved in that? You'll see that in the next set of slides. So maybe let me pause here, because this is now a little bit more practical beyond the theoretical foundations, which I was just laying here, which I was just saying this is the context. So if you look here, this speaks to, at the end of the day, computers are involved, whether it's proof of stake or proof of work. The difference is how much processing power is involved, how much computing power is involved, because it's very minimal, and how much input to that, which is electricity cost, that is actually the input factor. So when you look from left to right, cost, sophistication, profitability are variables. As you move from left to right, the extreme left is obviously mobile, which is just a very basic device if you think of it. There's some, I think Tawanda mentioned Pi and BEE or B, which you can initiate on your phone, if I may put it that way. You don't really mine on your phone, but you initiate on your phone. And just to give me a minute, I'll allow you guys to just ask all the questions you want to ask. And then as you move to the next stage, CPU mining, which is just your computer at home, your desktop, whatever the case is, just normal, ordinary CPU. You can use that to mine. But again, as you can see, we might be a little bit lucky, but maybe, I don't know how much coins you'll get out of it. The third one is what you call GPU or graphics processing unit, which is, gamers, people who play games, require a little bit more firepower. And then you're seeing that this thing is a little bit now of a structure. The first two are really just very basic, portable, and all of that. The third one, when you get to number 3 there, it's a little bit now of work. So you can't really carry that around. It's a bit of work, and it gets a little bit ugly. In fact, I wanted to use the word, ugliest, as you go a little bit further. It becomes a little bit more intensive. And then the last one is, and I'm using that because there's still other fragmentations of that. We will unpack in future sessions. That's why this session will just be introductory. Is what you call ASICs, which is, oh God, what's the word for it? Asynchronous something mining integrated circuit, or whatever the case is. There's a definition for it. I could just quickly Google it for you. ASICs. I think in the meantime, can I get, if you have a question, it's actually, application specific integrated circuit, which is essentially just a sophisticated way of saying advanced processors with cooling, with all these things that allow it to be able to really have very high performance computing that allows this to happen faster. And, maybe a little bit more cost effectively in a way that it allows you to be profitable. So let me pause there, because I think I've shared quite a bit in terms of concepts, but now, in terms of what mining, tools are used and hardware and the different variations of that. So maybe let me pause at this point and hear from the floor questions, and then we'll proceed with the next set of slides. Any questions?
Yeah, I had a question. So basically, mining really depends on your computational skills.
It depends on your processing power, not your computational skills. It's your process, because this is processors, by the way. It's from your phone. It has a processor, right? Your PC, it has a processor. And then GPU, which is your gaming device. In fact, this is gaming. In fact, what the guys have done is, it's so funny how this thing works. It's actually just graphics cards, right? Okay. You remove all of that and combine it into and build it into a rig like this. And then you just put some cooling. You go to YouTube, you find people who have bought all these graphics cards, connected it into circuits, put in some cooling element, racked it on a rack. I used to do that when I was doing systems administration, where you get all these servers, you put it together. And that's what it is, because it's very high performant, but it obviously consumes a lot of electricity, but it needs also a lot of cooling, but it's very fast. So the faster, the stronger your computer, if I may put it that way, the more coins you're able to really, or the more the probability that you can be able to really solve, or you can be assigned this task of solving this complex problem and being rewarded, obviously, if you win the ticket to the block.
Resolving that problem doesn't
Yeah.
require me to have any specific technical skills, or am I wrong?
No, you don't need any other than and we'll talk about that in the next, I think one of the slides I talk about that actually, to say what is needed, what is the input for scenario A, B, C, D. I actually say what do you need? Skill wise, cost, money wise, all those sorts of things. So I don't know. Maybe I can discuss that in detail when we get to that slide.
But yeah, the bottom line is it depends a whole lot on your computational power.
Yes, computational power.
Okay.
Computational power. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome, Malcolm. Any other comments? I mean, it doesn't have to. If you have a comment, please go ahead, or question.
Just a comment from my side, Tim. It's interesting to see how it actually evolved, because back in the days, you weren't able to use your phone. So from what I see here with your slide, it's showing that there's actually, there was an expansion, a growth, evolution that took place in that space, and it becomes more user-friendly and more understandable for the end user who's involved in it.
I'm so happy you said that, because to be honest, and that's why I find it interesting when you saw the quote of Jack Dorsey, who is also a geek in himself. I mean, he leads a tech company. But for most of us, we really don't know this thing, because if you tell me mine, it's actually too complicated, because I cannot see it, I cannot touch it. Unless you're a geek, who you can set up, and we'll talk about the setups aspects, not in detail today, but you saw in I think series number 3, I'm actually going to probably get this guy to come and show us how to set up one, maybe not a very sophisticated way, but in a way that can be accessible to us, because I don't want to make it a technical session necessarily. I want the concept to be clear. So it's interesting what you're saying, because if you look at the likes of Bitcoin, you could mine Bitcoin initially using basic hardware. Basic hardware was not necessarily a phone. It was probably any kind of processor, because our phones nowadays are more powerful than what you had in 2008. But you cannot mine Bitcoin today in 1, 2, 3, you can try. But actually number 4 is the only way you mine Bitcoin. And in fact, not just number 4, there's now pooling of ASICs, or this specialized into mining pools and rigs, which are really massive data centers. So you can't really do it. You can set it up at home, but you'll not really be very profitable. So yeah, it just tells you how this game has moved. So big companies own like Bitmain, and I don't know, the one that I think was mentioned in the tweet, they own what you call mining rigs and all these mining pools and the likes, which really is just, pulling together of hardware resources that can allow higher probability, to be able to really to do the settlement of the blockchain and obviously be rewarded for the same. So let's see if we can just build on this idea. Let me see whether we can just continue. So yeah, so this is actually the slide I was talking about. So if practically here, you can see from the lowest, barrier to entry to the highest, or maybe not. So I will qualify that, because I mean, we might look at it and say, yeah, if you're building it yourself, then obviously the easiest is the bottom one, which is mobile. And that's why many of us, or most of us, are mining Pi. I think I'm just going to pause here and say, we have a cryptocurrency that is, you can mine on your phone. You don't really mine on your phone because it doesn't really use your resources, your process as such, but you initiate the mining process on your phone, and it's available. I mean, I think the links, Bianca, again, you can share. I think you also have signed up, so please share your link, whatever, on Pi. And I don't know, Tawanda, if you want to share the BE one, you can share it on the channel. And those of you who are interested to just start in a very basic way, can actually know how to do this, using your phone. But these sessions will actually go beyond that basic, which has been available to us for a while now. Now, if you look here, so how do you participate? I think I've mentioned a bit of reusing, which is existing hardware. If you think of it, your phone is accessible. Some of us may have old computers lying somewhere. I actually did set up a mining, I set up a crypto mine for Monero a while ago, but I was using my laptop. But so all I needed was just download the software. I mean, I installed it on I use Ubuntu, just a version of Linux, so you can do it on Windows as well. And I think the Mac also does the same. And I just, I was mining this thing. It was very slow, obviously. And my laptop in the corner room was just screaming, overheating. You could hear, wee. This thing was making a lot of noise. I didn't really check my electricity bill to see how much it was costing me. But yeah, thanks, Bianca. I think excellent. You've posted to everyone. And you can also post it on the, what do you call this thing, on our Telegram as well, for people who may want to join. Yeah, so, and yeah, Tawanda, thanks for sharing the BE one. And again, guys, you reach out to these guys and ask questions or ask on the forum. We are here to help each other. That's the whole point. Now, this thing, obviously, I think I can't remember how much, because I mean, unfortunately, that thing, it crashed or somebody stole it. I think, it was stolen in our house, whatever. Our house help stole it, sorry. Then I didn't really get to recoup that. But I mean, I made some coins, Monero, which maybe could have been worth something now. But as you can see there, the challenge with this reuse and repurpose, which essentially is hardware that's available to you, is that it's not really very effective. And the profitability is so low. I mean, Jesus, it's very low. So I don't know. I don't know. I think other than Pi, and B, which Tawanda and Bianca have shared, I think, yeah, let's move on. When maybe in the next session, we'll actually grid it out and then see which one is really worth your time and which one is not worth, because we've tested it out. Now, the second one is probably along number 2, maybe number 3. It's because number 2, maybe you could build some CPUs, but it's a little bit not much here. But I think number 3, this one here, this built and purpose built. This is where you use specific hardware. You buy a GPU, which is for gaming, and then you assemble it, and then you need some cooling. Now, the first one, you didn't need cooling. You just used what you had. Maybe you had a fan, a cold room. Winter, actually, apparently winter is the most profitable time because the temperatures are low. And that's why they do this thing in Iceland and these other places, because in Iceland and Canada, other weird places, it's very cold. Now, but the challenge with this is that you need cooling, and then you need to have the skills, to be able to put this together. So this rig, it's actually called a rig, a mining rig. So again, there's a bit of a barrier to entry. And again, we're talking about the standalone model. In fact, I think I should have qualified that. I mean, in the next level, I'll build on the same slide, but put in a little bit more meat. To say this standalone, you're just taking this, either number 1, your phone or your laptop or your old desktop, you put it there, you mine. Second, you put this rig, put these GPUs, which are more powerful, you mine. Number 3 is actually now we begin to get a little bit more sophisticated, where we involving ourselves with what you call mining pools. And this is where cloud-based mining, where there's a little bit of sophisticated back-end, solutions come in. And this is where you probably now rent and lease, which essentially you pay some subscription, join a certain mining pool, and then you actually mine. And, based on your package, that will determine, whatever rewards that are received corporately is actually shared back to those who are part of that pool or mining company, whatever the case is. So of course the trick here is, because the first probably 2 things you're setting up, you're DIYing. The third one, which is the cloud one, is obviously to make sure that you're not part of a scam. I mean, I'm going to talk about scams in detail, I think in the next session or the one after, because there's a lot of scams as well when it comes to mobile. You'll be sent a link and told, oh, okay, you can make money, and then this thing is just a scam, which is either going to spy on you or probably steal your data, that kind of thing. So I think this is really perhaps the core slide that we will build on and evolve in the next bunch of sessions, to make sure that we understand this and we can actually take it and do the legwork. We can be able to apply these concepts practically. So welcome to all of you who've joined. I think, Uli, are you in the room?
Yeah, I'm in the room. Thanks.
Okay.
Go on.
Your signature is very interesting. It's different. Are you like undercover? Yeah. So we've covered. I mean, I think the foundations talked about all of this. We've shared even the links on Pi and the likes of BE. And then, I've just talked about this. So I think any questions from the floor before I move to concerns? Because I mean, it's not really very heavy. The next set of slides is actually just concerns, and then I mean, it's not really very complicated, but I think in the next layer, I actually want to go into the details that I mentioned earlier at the beginning around the numbers, any questions, any comments? I know some of you know more about this subject, or maybe just, you have a comment that you want to put out there. Anyone who is finding this useful? I don't know, it might just be along those angles. Is anybody feeling lost, overwhelmed? I actually, let me keep that as my safety shot, because I think this is just how it moves. And then if you look at it, again, as I mentioned, it's the way mining has moved, it has actually become a very sophisticated operation. So we will need, I think in the future set of slides, that in the next class, actually, not this one, we will need to look at it and say, which one is worth, your time. Clearly, if it's not costing you anything like Pi, I mean, you can mine. If it's not, CPU mining, I'm not really sure. I mean, Uli, you can tell me, I know you tested these things, which I know you're a little bit more sophisticated, but maybe if you have done setting up your rig, I was sharing about my experience with setting up Monero, and yeah, obviously make, the whole thing making a lot of noise, but yeah. I don't know if you have a comment, Uli, or anybody for that matter. Theo, the geeks in the room, you guys can share your experiences.
Yeah, I try to be a little bit more sophisticated and less. You know that my country, Angola, is pretty hot. Okay,
Yeah.
so cooling is a problem. Okay, although electricity,
yes.
Although electricity is really cheap, like 1 cent per kilowatt per hour. Yeah, it's still cheap to even install like central cooling systems. Okay, it would still be very profitable comparing to any other mines that I know of. But I still like to think about my impact on the environment. So what I usually go for is liquid cooling. So for the testing, I did my testing in a liquid cooling case. It's like a big refrigerator, but with liquid cooling, and it works. Yeah.
Is this more for a rig that is this a mining rig you've built? I mean, we're not talking about cloud at this point, right? It's actually something you've DIY'd, right? You built yourself.
Oh yeah. This is something I DIY. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe just tell us, maybe give us a snapshot of what is the input that goes into, because I've talked about to say you DIY pretty much like GPUs, for example. I don't know, just as like just a high level, it could be a 1 minute, a summary of, okay, this is the input, obviously cooling is one of them. Just kind of talk to us through it, because I think you've done it and it's actually great to just hear, your experience. And yeah.
I mean, it depends. It all depends on how big your rig is, how many cards. But let's say with something like if you want to start with something with a 3 card, it also depends on the model of the card. So if you want something like a high end, you're probably looking at something like $6,000 to start with. Okay, so that you have a very good cards, like the latest from NVIDIA, and very good risers as well. In terms of CPU, you don't need much power and not the motherboard. So it's mainly the GPU and and risers. Risers needs to be really high quality.
Is the cooling part expensive? Because I mean, I think you say that's why I talk about cost here, which is your inputs. Cost would be obviously the hardware cost, the running cost, which is electricity, which would be consumed not only just to power on, but also to cool the system. And obviously, there's real estate, which is, I mean, again, I think it's your space in your house. If it's a rig, which is, I think it fits in a room, right? It's not, I mean, you know, put it somewhere in the corner, or you know, you don't really need to rent out. If you have space in your house, that's something that can sit secure place that you know there's no dampness, you know, no funny elements that you can just set up. But again, I think the challenge here is that not everybody is like a Tim or an Uli who can sit and put this thing together. But it's possible. I mean, it can be done. $6,000, there you go, or even less. You know, there you go, and you have this thing. I wonder though, from obviously there's a generational aspect because we are in 2021. You know, this game is a little bit advanced. So would you say that setting it up? I don't know how long ago you set it up and whether it was profitable for you or whether it's been profitable and whether it's something that you think. We'll talk about the data in the next set of in the next class. So I'll give you numbers and crunch all of that to see what really makes sense for us. I don't know, just from your own experience, I'm curious.
You're breaking up.
Oh, did you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, Tim.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Uli, from a profitability perspective, based on the cost that you put in, how do you find that? You know, I don't know. And I don't know how long ago you set it up.
In terms of profitability, right now, I think what you have to keep in mind is the profitability, if you are mining Ethereum, is probably going to come to an end soon. Okay, because Ethereum is moving to
yes.
proof of stake.
Yeah.
So you will be mining mostly other coins. So I really can't give you an exact number now, but I will give you an example. For example, the mining rig that I set up for 6K, 7K, it was giving me something like $1,500 more or less a month in the middle of April.
Wow. How long ago did you set up this rig, Uli? Just out of curiosity.
About, I think, February.
Okay.
Yeah.
This year. Okay, cool. So we're still in. Okay, let me open it up if any of the guys ask questions because I know everybody's burning to want to ask something. And then, and sorry about that. That was totally unscripted. I mean, we've been talking with Uli, but yeah, you guys can ask your questions. And then, yeah, I'll just, yeah.
So you've been able to get back the $6,000 that you've put in putting together your machine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And does mining take a lot of time? Like, do I have to be all the time on my machine,
no,
my device, or is
not at all? Not at all. If you set up a mining rig, you can then put all your workers on a platform, on a mining platform, something like Hive OS.
Hive OS?
From the Hive, yeah, it's called Hive OS. You can basically download an app on your phone and you can manage your mining rig from your phone. Okay, it's not a big, yeah. So you can keep an eye on profitability. You can sometimes you can even overclock a little bit the mining rig. You can do all kinds of stuff there.
So basically, I could do something else while mining, right? I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't take much of the time. Yeah.
Doesn't take. Okay. So you would say it's quite profitable.
It is very profitable.
Whoa. Okay.
Wow. I mean, I'm speaking in the in my country, electricity is very cheap. So comparing to someone living in
Thank you for saying
England,
that. In here,
comparing to someone living in England or somewhere else, yeah, it's gonna be a huge gap between my profitability and theirs.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how it is in England, but it seems like where I am, it's not that expensive. So I don't think it's gonna take such a chunk of anything I make, I guess.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing.
That's great. No
yeah.
problem.
So I think, and thank you so much, Wooly. Thank you so much, Tangi, for your
You're
engagement. Because I think, again, the point of all this series is we want to make this accessible. We don't want this to be something floating out there you just hear about and you don't really know. You've seen that we have people in our community who have done it and are doing it. And as I said, from the course, the program, the webinar design is that we have an end goal to say we actually want to, after we've understood the concept, we actually, hopefully, will create an opportunity for us to be able to really put a, kind of dip our toes in some of these things. We'll just see which viable models are. I think Uli and I have been in discussions, and one other gentleman, to see which models might be available, which one might make sense, which one can we recommend. And then, because again, there's also some very funny scams in between and all of that. And other models which are not really profitable if you don't really, because I don't expect us in the room to be able to set up our own rigs unless you're inclined and unless you have capacity, but, we look at what other options might be available. Any questions before I move to concerns and risk, which is really pretty much the next slide? I think, so maybe, you're most welcome to comment as we go along, but I think the main issue, as Uli, mentioned, and this was quite topical and contributed to some of the tanking pullback in price earlier for Bitcoin, is the politics around, or sensitivities around environmental impact. And I just thought this slide might help to communicate. I don't know, it's from the Center for Global Development. It might just, sometimes some of these documents are politicized, but essentially they're saying the cost of mining 1 Bitcoin for Tanzania is like consumption of electricity for almost 2,200 people, or over 2,000 people. You can see there the impact. So of course they're trying to really say that it's not sustainable, at least for Bitcoin in particular, and the cousins, I don't know, the other cousins are not as popular, Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash and whatever, which are generation 1, which I showed in the first slide. So that's why there's more, and as Uli mentioned, there's with Ethereum, which has been using proof of work, which is moving to proof of stake, which means mining will not really happen, and it will not be intensive on power. It will actually be a different model, staking and all of that, which will take precedence. So this is really a concern, which I think, is topical, and I just thought to highlight it, but I think from the way industry players are looking at this is to say that, renewable sources and all of that. And obviously, again, for us, the way we look at it is to say, as long as your costs are less and make sense, and you're sustainable in terms of what those power sources and inputs are, I think it's absolutely viable. And I think there's a question at the end. I don't want to preempt on that. I hope this slide is useful in terms of just really painting the picture. Let me, any questions? This is just pretty much a summary, which is energy consumption has an impact on profitability, energy consumption obviously impact on environment, and then the question of sustainability. That's really just a summary. Any questions, any comments from the floor before we kind of head to wrap up?
So I've got a question.
Yeah, sure.
What are we doing with Pi and B? Definitely that is not mining. So what is that?
It's pseudo mining. Okay. Look,
thank you, Tawanda. Tawanda,
yeah.
I was really wondering what is that as well. I wanted to ask, but I was just like, maybe I'll look like I don't know nothing. So thank you, Tawanda, for asking.
You're welcome.
So I don't want to preempt what I have written for my next class, which is around. So if you look at it, again, everything around that, what we've been doing on this is around strategy, to say what is, understand it, and what's your plan around it, because again, we'll teach every option that is available, and then we narrow down to and then we kind of discuss and then see what really works. Now, I look at Pi mining, BE mining as frictionless introduction to mining as a concept, because the truth is the compute power is not really happening on your phone. You're just initiating that to happen on some backend somewhere. Now, the concept that the professor at Stanford or whoever, the guy is a founder, is obviously, the concept of distributed, it's this is the crypto for the people because you can mine it on your phone. The concept is really appealing. We like it. It's sexy. It's cute because if people have mobile phones, and it's not like you're not confining yourself to very expensive hardware, which obviously makes it difficult for ordinary people to access. So from where we sit, and in any case, if you think of Pi, it doesn't really have any value today. But there's a high potential if whatever Pi that you have, that you've mined, maybe you've mined 2,000 or 3,000. I know Uli is heading towards 10,000 or whatever the number is. If that thing will be worth $1 or 50 cents, it didn't cost you anything. I don't know how much more your electricity bill has gone, Bianca, for mining Pi in your house. I don't know.
I didn't check. I mean,
maybe you should check.
No, it's definitely. I mean, I don't think even it makes a big difference.
Yes. And I think the point here is that because of that, there's really no barrier to entry for anyone. Because if this thing will be worth $0, you lost nothing. It didn't cost you more. If it will be worth 10 cents or if it will be worth $1, all the better for it. You only have an upside, which means might as well mine these coins. Mine it. You never know. In another year, based on I don't know. I have not checked lately how far they are in the project, but I mean, there's really huge upside. Your risk is very low. Very, very low risk. I think. Let me see. Yeah, actually, that's pretty much it. Any other questions? I think the question here is for all of us. And it's the big elephant in the room, which I don't know what it'll be. I will not answer it in this session, but what are your thoughts? Is it still worth mining crypto in 2021? Let's see. You can take a poll. I think just type a 1 if it is yes, 2 if it's a no. Let's see what we get from the community. Based on what Uli said, based on what we are talking about, do you think it's profitable? All those kinds of mining, you're using your phone, using a rig like Uli, using your laptop like Tim tried. And maybe some of you may have both subscriptions. Just put a 1 if it's yes, if you agree, or no, or 2 if you think no, I don't think it's profitable.
Well, I'm just going to base it on the 1,500 that the guy was making. I mean, it's money coming. But really the challenge for me is the understanding of what I'm doing. So, for example, I'll still come back to Pi and BE. I'm doing that without really any knowledge as to what it is that I'm doing. I've got 2,000 or whatever it is, BE, but what is it? That I think is for me is the elephant in the room. Once I've got not a proper understanding, but more of an idea as to what I am doing, what mathematical equation if I actually solved by me just clicking that and it runs for 24 hours. I think for me, that's really where the challenge is.
So is that your challenge is more of that of understanding, not necessarily that your coins might be worth something, whatever that number will be, whether it will be worth 0 or some arbitrary allocation. Because there's, I don't know, is it more the understanding that you're struggling with, or just that what will this be worth?
It is more the understanding. It's like Tim, I just say, start walking. You will get there, my friend. Just walk. Where am I going? It's more that.
Yeah. So look, what I'm gonna do, Tawanda, is I don't want to do a class on Pi. I'm not gonna do a class on Pi, and I'm not gonna do a class on BE. I'm gonna look for a resource which I think explains what exactly happens, and I'm gonna share that with the community. Do you think that will help so that we accelerate our path? Because I don't want to be derailed into teaching a concept that somebody may have taught and could be useful, just would that be fair? Let me ask if that sounds reasonable.
I think it would be, but this is just an opinion. The rest of the guys can actually say it out. Well, their thoughts as to this.
Yeah, so I want to ask Nicolette, if you don't mind. I think everybody else agreed that it's still profitable. You have a divergent view, and I think I always value that we hear each other. And then I think Immaculate may want to say something, but allow Nicolette perhaps to say something. If you could, just your thoughts. I mean, again, there's no judgment. We're just sharing what we think and what our thoughts might be, if you don't mind. Is it Nicolette, right?
Yes. Hello?
Okay, go ahead, Nicolette.
Yes, for me, it's just that a lot of people or a lot of businesses have moved away from mining because it wasn't as profitable as it used to be. So I'm just wondering how, if you were in Angola, yes, I can understand, but for the rest of us, it might just be a little bit too expensive.
Very fair point. Very fair point. And thank you that you've actually been that counterbalance. And that's why I think I've committed myself to do a series, which will be quite rigorous and detailed, to say, let's look at the next session will actually be on numbers. We'll look at numbers and say, option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4, what's the profitability just based on your costs and all these other inputs? What do you get back? And where is it going? Because I mean, I think I put in my plan to say, what's the future of mining as a concept? So that's why I asked this question. It's really, I'm not going to give you the answer today. I'm actually saying, do you guys feel that there'll be need for us to just come back for another session and talk about the numbers? Because I didn't want to cover that today because I felt it will be too much, to be overwhelming. If you are in agreement, just type a 1. I think I'm not even going to ask for it too. If you are in agreement, just type a 1. And then Immaculate, go ahead. You wanted to say something. So just, I mean, guys, I'm not going to do this session if I don't get a vote that says you want a continuation, Yeah.
Okay. I'm in Tawanda's boat in the fact that I am finding everything like it's Greek right now because I am just entering into the world of cryptocurrency. Yes. And so it's like Tawanda said, you put somebody on the road and tell them to go. Like, where am I going? What direction am I taking? So I think for me, it's just so much information to digest right now. And I don't know the direction, I don't know. But I want to believe that all of you in the platform are people who are familiar, and you cannot lead people to get lost. But I think it's more important to make people understand, wow, I was thinking, like, for example, if you got a microwave, my microwave, warms food, but you don't know how it is composed, you don't know the background, you don't know, like if it broke, if it didn't work today, where will you go? You know what I mean? So I'm at that basic level of understanding, like I really don't know where I'm going or where I'm coming from. So I need more teaching.
Thank you. And I think on that note, allow me, guys, to just say this, that you've given permission to continue with session number 2 and maybe session number 3. Session number 3, what I envision is some kind of hands-on or build up or whatever. I'll talk to Uli or Williams or whoever, just see who can help us to put together something, just, where we can see a build up. And then I'll anticipate what Tawanda asked, to say, maybe I'll just look for a good quality material on Pi and B, the ones that we've shared with you guys, which will just be a resource. Because I mean, we don't really have bandwidth because we have an event coming up in September, which I want to talk about right now, the community updates. So and the year is almost ending, to be honest. So we might not have, we'll just share those on the Telegram channel so that you can be able to understand. But we will labor to really make sure that you understand the opportunity within mining itself and its profitability and so on. So I think this will be probably the last slide I'm going to talk about, and then we'll close, because I mean, we started, I think, at 7 past. I don't want to really take an overstretch because we came in a little bit late. To say that we have our event coming up. So we've confirmed a number of speakers and the data also confirmed. We'll be updating this every week. You'll be seeing an update on this as we progress. And it's really exciting because we're going to talk about all the exciting things, NFTs, DeFi, DAOs, all these things, which are more a little bit airy-fairy, which is much more worse than this, but because it's other people speaking to us. So we just want to be inspired. So yeah, so this carries on, and I think I'm going to really end it here today. I'm not going to take it any further. So any last comments? Anybody who's really dying to say something before we close? Because I don't want to drag this longer than. Yes, good analogy. Absolutely, on the microwave. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, babe.
Yeah, I have a question. So can someone, as Uli is saying, he mines. Can someone invest, like Uli mines it and then I invest in it and then benefit from it? Probably, maybe I don't have the tools and the capacity to mine.
Yeah.
But can someone do it for me and then probably I get something from there or something? I don't know.
The answer is yes. Allow me to answer that. Is there another question you wanted to ask?
And then now that does that mean, okay, if it's consuming a lot of electricity, can there be another alternative way, like maybe solar or something, because maybe that seems to be the only challenge in mining this thing. I think it's the only, the bit of electricity and the bit of putting capital, let me say capital.
Very good.
A lot of money to put in there. So yeah.
Yeah, very good points. Very good point. So I think number 4, which I don't want to promise because we're in discussions and I don't want to disclose that yet. The answer is yes, perhaps, to the first question. And then the answer is yes as well to the second question, because there's more green sources of energy that allow us to mine more profitably and using less, renewable sources and the likes, which has less impact on the environment and so on. So slide number 4 is grayed out for a reason, to say, I really hope we get to 4. And 4 will actually be an investment opportunity which will be shared when it's ready. I don't want to preempt that right now. So that's why I'm just saying that, guys, let's stick together, invite other people, let's participate in this. And I hope we get to number 4, because number 4 will be the opportunity for us to now invest and be involved in mining in a profitable way. We'll have QA'd and, done the work through all these sessions that we are doing, which is, I can guarantee the second one. The third one, we'll see if I get somebody who will accept to teach us a deep dive. People, I don't want to take longer than that. Allow me to please close the session. Okay, I hope there's no one. Uli, did you want to say something? We'll have another session, please. So I just want to close because of the sake of integrity. I don't want to drag it longer and keep people longer than that. Yeah, so next week we'll continue. Carry on in detail and we'll talk about profitability numbers and everything else that you see on this slide. Maybe a little bit more refinement will go into that in the coming week. Great. Allow me to close it because I have the power to do so and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Great input.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Tim.
Bye.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.